Hello everyone once again and welcome back to yet another episode of Catching Up with the GMs. We are back in the Europe region today and I have my good friend and teammate in Casie alongside me. Casie, how's it going?
It's going great. How about you?
Thank you for asking. Do you know, you're the first person I think that's actually asked that. Well done. What a nice guy you are, Casie. Thank you very much. I'm doing great. So obviously we are pretty deep now into the second season of Grandmasters for 2020. Since we have a lack of these interviews, you know, after winners and losers and so on for each match, why don't you just give us a feeling of how you think your season's going overall to this point?
So I think my season is going similar to season 2 of GM last year. So I have pretty high hopes of doing better than the season before. And actually after my game against Radu last time, where he completely demolished me, Vindello made the same tweet that he made exactly last year, also in week 4 of GM, where I did the same clap with the same light in my room. I'm like, okay, maybe this is a sign that I gotta do as well as last year, like 2 seasons ago.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the series you just played against RDU. Is that what top 5 most disgusting series of Hearthstone you've ever played in your life?
I don't know. I think it's like equal as any other series that I played against him this season.
Okay.
Like there was one season during Swiss which decided if I make top 8, He had no chance to win the game. I have a 12-12 admin on board, a big questing. He plays Prime, and then my PC shuts down. And I'm like, Radu, can you please wait? I probably lost after the Prime, but it's fine. Then I come back, go prep puzzle box, and he died.
I mean, amazing. These are the games that we're missing out on, apparently, when we don't get to watch Swiss. So obviously on the subject of RDU, I want to talk about your practice group in general. Obviously Tice, Bunnyhopper, RDU, and yourself. All of you are Division A gamers, all doing incredibly well. Is that a coincidence, or do you think the practice group as a whole is just doing something right that other people aren't doing?
I think for the most part we are doing something right in most of us agreeing what the good decks are and then trying to figure out what the decks are that are not as bad as like Paladin, Shaman, and basically Hunter right now. And you have to play those. You have to take losses on ladder. You have to try figure out what are the least bad classes and then how to build the best ones. And that's what we are trying, or that's what we are doing pretty well right now.
And would you say, because I've spoken to a couple of the other members already doing these interviews, and you know, Tice in particular was quick to give you specifically a lot of credit for lineup building for the group and how you would arrive for practice sessions like already like, okay, I've got like these 3 lineups that we can test, like these are probably the 3 best lineups that we can go with, and coming in very prepared, and that taking a lot of stress off the other players. Like, are you happy to accept that you're doing some carrying work in the group when it comes to lineups?
I think currently in GM, outside of No Hands Gamer, I think I am the best or second best whatever deck builder in GM, one of the best deck builders in the whole game by having, or most of the time, really good ideas. So it's just my natural habit actually having ideas, and then Bunny sometimes stops me and tells me, no, this is not good. Like these are the kind of people that I need in my practice group to keep me down when I have like really stupid ideas. And right when the expansion hit, I started at rank 4 legend and just lost every game down to 1,400 because I just played so many dumb decks, and then it took me 3 hours to get back to top 50. That's like what you need in your practice group. Good players that actually disagree with you, and that's why I think Bunny and I, for example, are together for such a long time. We start with we have the same goal in winning the most, or as much as we can. But we start with like we start at a different point. But at the end, we always come to the same conclusions, what decks are good. And then at the end, we all agree what the best decks are. That's why we submitted the first 3 weeks different decks. And now we also face different opponents. Like I disliked Priest, he disliked Zoo, but both decks are really good at what we expect. Mm-hmm. And the other decks just are generally the highest win rate decks on average. So we started agreeing finally.
I know you mentioned, you think you're a pretty good deck builder, and I think that has borne itself out so far. I think the lineups for your practice group have been pretty strong overall. You're also very quick to criticize other people's builds of certain decks, which I've certainly seen a fair amount of on Twitter. So I want to ask you, what's the number one mistake that you think other GMs are making with their lineups right now?
I think other GMs are trying to look way too optimistic at their lineups. If I high roll, I am winning. So in GM right now, if you go 1-1, if you go at the end of the season, you're 50-50 in score. It's amazing. You can't expect much more. So you don't need to try and hard target your opponent. You need to try and play the best decks the best way possible. And then if you play as good as your opponent, you're pretty likely to go 1-1.
Okay.
But if you try to hard target your opponent, for example, you play Face Hunter, and then your opponent doesn't play the expected deck, you lose your first series. And then the second opponent might not play it at all because you didn't expect them to. And then you're 0-2, and if you go 0-2 one week, it can be rough coming back. So my general idea is just play the best decks the best way possible.
All right, I like it. So I got a little game for you, Casie. Okay, The goal of the game is to make Europe GM, European Grandmasters, the strongest region it possibly can be. And you're allowed to take one player from APAC, one player from Americas, and swap them with two players from Europe. Who do you take?
Oh, wow. So, this is difficult. Like,
no pressure.
I probably would take Surrender from APAC.
Okay.
I probably would take... Americas is really difficult. I think at its peak, the best American player was just Zayn.
Mm-hmm.
But currently, if he would have... I think Monsanto played generally the best this season, but he had really bad deck ideas.
Okay.
America is like the top of America are like really close to each other. So I wouldn't mind taking anyone from Division A. But since I talk a lot to him and we basically submit similar, if not the same lineups each week, I would take Bloody Face.
Okay.
And then who would I replace? I like all of them.
I see how it is, Casie. You're quick to throw out the shade on Twitter, but as soon as you've got a camera in your face, it's a different story.
So, how people played in Division B, I think Felkine played the worst right now. On stream at least. And then it's between... Who is even in Division? It's between Silver Name and Boston is the other one of the... No, can I go back and just... I think Silver Name and Boston are the two guys that I would replace from Europe GM.
Okay, we got there. We got there. It was a little painful, but we got there in the end, Casie. And now on the opposite end of the spectrum, just to end on a positive, who do you think is the best player in the world, and why is it RDU?
He's just naturally gifted, and no one can beat him except his dog.
Except his dog, yeah. His one weakness. But like genuinely, on a serious note, though, obviously, like you practice with RDU a ton. Obviously, he's winning like crazy in GM, but like, does he perform well in practice? Like, does he feel like he's back on top of his game as a constructed player?
So,
like, seriously, do you have respect for him as a constructed player?
Oh, so like at the start when he started talking to me, he was like really close to relegation last season, right?
Okay.
Or like 2 seasons ago where I actually won, and then we started practicing, and then he also did better. Like I think Radu is good at technical play if he plays a lot, but his deck ideas, he can't be objective why he's winning or why he's losing. So I think he's not good at deck building, but he's pretty good at playing. Do I think he's the best in Division A? I would actually say so that he's the worst in Division A right now from plays.
Wow.
And that's also, or like, he's probably the 7th best in Division A. That's how good Europe is.
Sure.
But do I respect him as a player and as a person a lot?
Good. I think that was about as wholesome an answer as we could have expected from Casie about RDU. So I think we will leave it there on a positive. We'll wrap it up. Casie, thank you so much for your time. Thank you to everyone for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out as many of these interviews as you can possibly get your hands on. Watch Grandmasters when it goes live at the weekend. And this weekend specifically, don't forget to check out the Masters Tour event where you can get to lay your eyes on all the best players the world has to offer outside of the Grandmasters system as they try and become our newest Grandmasters. Outside of that, if you need any information on the esports system, Grandmasters, Open Cups, Masters Tours, whatever it is, you can find that at playhearthstone.com/esports. Casie, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Do you have any final words to send us off with?
Not really. Thanks for having me. That's it.
Thank you, Casie. And again, thanks everyone for watching. Take care, everybody. See you soon.